Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of Nostalgia Bit. Today we are talking about a little bit of Sony stuff, a little bit of Madam Web stuff, and I'm joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Cooper. Hello mate.
Hello everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you? Are you excited for this episode?
I am excited for this episode.
I
should preface it by saying I haven't actually seen Madam Web. As of yet. You have. But we're going to be talking about Spider-Man in general. Sony, Spider-Man in general, this general situation. I'll just keep saying general. Just the situation with those films, with the studios, where they're at, what's going on, our favourites, least favourites, and I've also had the lucky experience of being able to see the Into the Spider-Verse in concert, which I'm going to talk a little bit about as well, which I think will be good. So all your lovely Spider-Man-y goodness today, I think, will be fun.
Yeah.
And I bloody love Spider-Man, so that's just great.
You know, I never used to be a fan of Spider-Man when I was younger.
What's wrong with you?
It was arachnophobia. Arachnophobia, young
man
was
such a wet wipe.
He was like, no Spider-Man.
Yeah, but he wasn't an actual spider, though.
Well, yeah, I know that now. Young me was like, no. Spider, no. Now I'm like, Spider-Man, yes. Spider,
Maybe.
no.
But I think, did you not miss the wave of the initial Spider-Man films, though?
Yes, 100%. I missed the wave of,
because I feel like Garfield. I grew up
it's only
with Garfield. No, surely you got Andrew Garfield. Like, you're not that young.
No, but I mean both. Like, obviously. Tobey Maguire's first one, I think, was around
2002.
Yeah, that's the year I was born. So,
yeah.
Well, I just missed the whole wave in general because I was never really a big Spider-Man fan when I was younger. It's more
Spider-Man 2 was 2004. Yeah.
Yeah. It's more as I've gotten older and gone back and watched them that I now appreciate the true art form of Spider-Man.
I do love them. I think I grew up with them. It's my little thing. Like, I grew up with it. Again, as someone who was born in 2001, I remember more Spider-Man 2 than the first one, just because, again, the first one came out when I was a year old. The second one came out when I was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I was starting to get more into that, and I could appreciate it more. And I think I just love that, the aesthetic of it. I think Doc Ock, Spider-Man, those characters, the music, the visuals, the actors, everything about that specific film, Spider-Man 2, was just incredibly iconic, as it was for a lot of people. It's a brilliant film, but I think growing up it was one of those things. But I've always loved Spider-Man. I've always had that sort of thing. I had like a little plug-and-play Spider-Man game way back when. I'd love to play it on stream if I could get it hooked up, but it was this one where you had this...
Is it like literally just like a little thing that you plug in and play it like...
It's a joystick.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's like a proper...
It's a joystick. Yeah. Now the joystick itself is is questionable.
Is it Spider-Man themed joystick?
Oh yeah. It's now see if you can see why I wouldn't potentially give this to kids as a product for a Spider-Man fan.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Now on paper,
yeah,
on paper it's fine. It's a Spider-Man joystick, but it does look like you're gripping Spider-Man's erection when you play.
It's a strange choice. It gives me like Rhino vibes. Like, it's like Spider-Man X Rhino, like that kind of thing. Like, it's just it's an odd choice.
Sure.
It looks cool. I like the fucking design.
Look, it's a cool look. All joysticks look somewhat phallic. This one is kind of fine, and I grew up with it and I love it for that. But you can't deny the strange having the suit effect over what looks like something just protruding like that. Although the eyes do offset it. I feel like if the eyes weren't on it, it would be so much worse.
Yeah,
so much worse.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I'm saying it's like Rhino vibes. Like,
yeah. This is probably going to be a meme for the TikTok audience here, but to describe it, what it looks like for the listening audience, it's like a sort of blue and red Spider-Man joystick, which has, it's a joystick for fuck's sake. It just comes up, it looks phallic. But I played this as a kid, is the point I was getting to, and I'm so nostalgic for that. I love it. It was a naff little game, but it was great. At the same time.
Was it just like swing through the city, like, or was it like...
You had mini games, so there was one where it was like a side-scrolling swing through the city, where you do boss battles and stuff. And it was really cool. You could swing, you could jump, you could climb up walls, you could web. There was another one which was like... I got a list here. Spider Training, which is, I believe, like one where you have to like basically play Snap with famous Spider-Man character pictures.
Yeah.
Venom's Vindication... Venom throws bombs out of windows and you have to web them before they fall to the floor. That's basically it. Escape from the Sewers. Let's get back to that one. But Vulture's Venture, Vulture just fucking throws bombs at you again.
And
Trying not to fall over or something. Escape from the Sewers. Now, if you've never experienced that as a kid, like, you're never going to understand, like, the true instinctive primal fear that was playing Escape from the Sewers. You had Lizard running around in the sewers. The music is creepy as anything. It's a very small sort of map, very obviously low res, quite like 8-bitty style music. But you just sort of go forward, 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 and then turn a corner, forward, 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 turn a corner, and you can turn back round or whatever. And then Lizard will occasionally show up in a random frame when you turn a corner and be like that. And terrifying. Probably the first horror game experience I had as a kid. But that, again, is part of my, like, cemented Spider-Man upbringing. And I've loved the character since. Like, I never really got into the Andrew Garfield ones, to be honest. I love them. I love them now.
My favourite ones, yeah.
Really? I love them now, but when they came out, I couldn't care less.
I love Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I think he's absolutely unreal. I like that they went for more of a different approach to Spider-Man, like with Gwen Stacy instead of MJ, which I think was a nice switch up. And I just think the ending of Amazing Spider-Man 2 is still to this day brutal. Like, it is brutal.
It's one of the best.
The way it was done. Oh, it's unbelievable. Like, the fact that it stands up to this day, like, God knows, I don't even know how old those films are now, or how old that film is now. And so watching it, you are like wincing, like, it's awful. But awful in a good way, if that makes sense.
I think the first one is a better film.
I think overall the first one's a better film. The second one feels...
But the second one is just too much. Too many cuts.
Yeah.
They're trying to do too much. They're trying to set up a cinematic universe. It doesn't work.
The second one
typical
feels
Sony.
too...
We'll get onto that.
Yeah, it feels too all over the place.
Yeah,
the second
100%.
one, I still really like it and always enjoy when I watch it.
Oh, no. But,
And
like, there's some elements of it
stuff,
which I think are brilliant. Like Electro, the music for Electro, the theme for Spider-Man in that film. I think the music's great in that film. And you're right, again, Gwen Stacy's death is perfect.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. They just feel like they're racing through a lot there and setting up a lot of stuff they didn't need to do. Rhino didn't need to be in it. Played by...
I was going to say, shoehorning Rhino in the end as well,
Yeah, played by Paul Giamatti, no less.
Yeah.
Wonder what he's doing nowadays.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, the Tobey Maguire, I think there's something about all the Spider-Man movies that I couldn't say there's not one that I don't enjoy, if that makes sense. All of them I enjoyed to some extent.
For different
They're
reasons.
all better and worse ones,
100%. The same can't be said about the Sony Spider-Man spin-off films. Which is what we're going to be talking about a little bit as well today.
Yeah.
And we'll touch upon. I don't think there's enough time in the day to talk about these films and rip them apart as much as they deserve. But have you seen all of them?
I've not seen Morbius. Wait, so how many is there? So
You've not seen Morbius?
Why would I watch?
There's 4 in total, by the way.
So what are the 4? So there's Madam Web, there's Morbius, there's Craven's coming out.
I'm not counting Craven.
Are you talking about? Are you counting Spider-Verse?
No, man, that does not deserve to be looped into that shithole.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, what do we count as?
Venom.
Both the Venoms. Yes, I've seen both the Venoms. Yes, I've seen. I completely forgot about Venom. Yeah, I've seen both. Thing is, though, reason why I forgot Venom because the Venoms are actually half decent films. So there we go.
I'll stand by. I've not seen the second Venom. I enjoyed the first Venom. I've seen
the second Venom isn't as good as the first Venom, and they had Carnage and blundered, but it was still a okay film. It's still better than.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It annoys me that they introduced Carnage and had Carnage as the main villain, and they've somehow blundered it.
I don't know how you I think it's...
Actually, I think the third one's just wrapped filming, or it's about to.
What are they going to keep... This is... Right. I love the Venom film, the first one. I don't love it, but I think it's...
The first one, I really enjoyed the first one. I love Venom. I adore Venom.
Here's my problem with it, though. Right? Mm-hmm. Sony... Sony are the problem behind all of this. Sony are awful. And I hate them to an extent. Hate's a strong word, but I think it's appropriately used when talking about Sony and their film division, right? Spider-Verse, God knows what happened there, how they got that so right, because it's some of the best, like, animated films in recent years, some of the best Spider-Man films, some of the best superhero films. So they're incredible. I can't knock them for that. The Sony animated pictures department, excellent. The Sony live-action shit, what do you do? Right, so Venom as a start, right? Okay.
Venom.
Tom
Hardy's Venom or Eddie Brock.
Yeah, cool. Fine. Okay, I will accept it to an extent, right? If you're gonna do Venom as his own thing, right? Venom's origin story was always involved with Spider-Man Peter Parker, right? If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But then don't later try and shoehorn a Spider-Man in, right? Because, I don't know, like, obviously, like, Venom wasn't a part of No Way Home, which I think is hilarious, because I feel like Sony were trying to make that happen, and it just didn't work. Like, at the end of, like, the post-credit scene for there is, whatever it's called, something Carnage.
Let There Be Carnage.
Let There Be Carnage, of course it's called that.
Venom
then,
Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah, there do be carnage, though. The post-credit scene, they end...
It's the same thing as the post-credit scene for the first one, where it's like it's so on the nose. It's like,
what's the post-credit scene for the first one?
When I get out of here, the post-credit scene of Venom 1 is, I can't remember his name, the guy who has Carnage in his cage, and he goes, "When I get out of here, there will be carnage." Cuts black. End of movie.
Yeah.
So
I remember that.
Oh,
yeah.
I wonder what the next movie's going to be about. I can't remember what the villain's name is. But yeah, it's like very on the titles and stuff's very on the nose.
I was gonna say.
I should know it.
Instinctively I was going to go Cassius Clay, but that's Muhammad Ali. So that's wrong.
No,
it's something.
It is that, isn't it?
Cassius Clay is the real name of Muhammad
similar.
Ali.
No,
is it something similar?
Yes, I'm sure it's something similar. Is it Clay Cassidy or something like that? It's something.
Cletus Cassidy.
Cletus Cassidy. Yeah,
is that Cletus
something
Cassidy?
Like that.
Okay,
yeah,
so it begins
because he's in the new
yes.
Spider-Man game as well.
Oh,
there's a side character in it.
Wow, yeah, I've got that ruined now. Nice, thanks, mate.
It's a side story, isn't it?
It's also been out like a year. I haven't played.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't afford a PS5. So
it's not out on PC. So
yeah, I just watch people play it. I guess
that's exactly what I did.
My point was the post-credit scene for Let There Be Carnage. He gets teleported to like an alternate universe or whatever, which is the MCU. We know.
Yeah.
And he sees Tom Holland's Spider-Man on TV, and Venom's like, I'm gonna fight that kid. I don't know what he says, but there's something like that.
It's like we need let's go and find him or something like that.
But this is my point, right? Why? Why? Take away the fact that Venom is a Spider-Man.
Let's break this down. Why?
but why, right? Like,
yeah.
What is the situation here? Why are we doing this, right? I think I don't know what if Madam Web had a post-credit scene. Oh, you'll know, won't you?
Madam Web, I didn't stay, and I don't think had a post-credit scene.
Oh no! Hang on, because I was going to say all the Sony live-action films have the funniest. I'm
going to be depressed if it didn't. I left the cinema.
It must have.
I've blundered. I'm always that guy who's like, oh, you should never leave in Marvel movies. Bro, I was trying to run away from the movie.
Does not have any credits.
There we go. Yeah.
Wow.
Bro, I was running away.
They were ready to get people to get out.
They switched the lights on, so I was like, this probably gives it away. Bro, I was running out of the cinema for that.
I just go on. I mean, tell me about it.
Okay, so
because I've not seen it. I know everything that I've heard, but I've not seen it.
Out of the four. So obviously I've not seen Morbius, so scrap Morbius. I would say it's the worst one I've seen. Like Venom the first Venom easily being the best. Madam Web was a very interesting concept that I was very excited for them to do. I was also very, very, very... The thing I was excited about most was, and this was my biggest gripe with the movie, I was most excited to see other Spider-Men, especially the Spider-Girls, so like Sydney Sweeney's character, like all the three girls. I'm not even joking you. Every clip that was in the every clip that was in the movies was shown in the trailers. They are literally in the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. Nothing else. The whole story, if you haven't seen it or you want to avoid spoilers, skip forward in the podcast. I don't know why the hell you'd want to avoid spoilers for this movie. Is basically, so this guy, I don't remember his name, I'll get onto his character later on.
Great.
He has vision. He's having vision, so he meets Madam Web's mother essentially, and she's trying to find a spider that basically gives you like clairvoyance.
In the Amazon,
yeah, or one of the similar.
Whatever the line is. I can't remember.
So they find the spider. He steals the spider, gets bitten, and it basically gives him clairvoyant abilities, so he can see the future. And he keeps having nightmares and dreams, and he sees these three girls who are basically going to kill him. Essentially, they are the reason for his demise, and the three girls are the three Spider Girls. I apologize that I can't remember the characters' names. It's Sydney Sweeney and the two of the female actresses. And to be honest, those three girls were actually incredible. Like, really, really, really good.
Oh, right, cool.
Sydney Sweeney was incredible. And one of the things when I came out of the movie, I went to see my girlfriend. I said, I'd actually very much like to see Sydney Sweeney play a proper like Spider Woman, like a Spider
Sure.
Gwen live action, or or if they wanted to do Gwen Stacy in the new Tom Holland movies, have her play Gwen Stacy, because I think it would work really, really well.
Sure.
So the whole concept is this guy basically uses like infiltrate like new government technology to find these girls. And then there's the train sequence, which is in the trailers, where he starts to attack them on the trains. This is when Madam Web starts to get her clairvoyant ability. She basically saves them, go on the run, run. A few scenes where they like bump into each other and like he tries to kill them again, Gets to the end of the movie, and then it's like she goes on a trip to the Amazon to basically meet like these people who birthed her because her mother died during childbirth. And it turns out the reason she has these abilities because her mother was bitten by one of these spiders during childbirth, like that kind of thing. And she basically like goes into like a pool of water and like sees like the webs of fate and all that kind of stuff.
Her web connects us all, yeah.
Yeah, like the webs of fate, and then she basically comes out of this water and is like, yo, what the hell? And then goes back and has all these like crazy abilities. She can like split herself into multiple, and these are actual, I'm pretty sure these are actual comic book accurate like abilities. So she splits herself into like these different versions, and she can like essentially play through different outcomes, because there's a moment in the movies where the three girls, they're all going to die, and the villain's like, haha, they're going to die, and then she's like, haha, psych, and she like these like ghostly spectral versions of herself come out and save each one of them. Anyway, the movie's very lackluster. The concept was cool. I would have preferred to have what the actual leaks were supposed. Well, the supposed leaks for the movie was that Ben Parker, because you meet Ben Parker and Mary, is her name Mary Parker? May Parker. No, May's the auntie, isn't it?
Yeah, Ben's the uncle.
Oh shit, yeah. No, because you also meet the mum as well. That's what I'm getting confused about.
Right.
You meet the mum as well, and it's like, oh, I'm going to be an uncle. All this stuff. End of the movie, Madam Web goes blind. So, Madam Web outfit, which is in it for like a minute and a half of the movie, looks sick. It looked really, really, really cool.
About a minute and a half of the movie. They just can never do it, can they? They can never do anything other than just have promo material for the trailers.
Her going blind was like, to me, it felt very shoehorned in at the end. But obviously that has to happen because it's comic book accurate. So, the end of the movie, and one of the things I found the funniest was there's a really offhanded comment where Madam Web's in hospital with the three girls, and they're talking about like May had Peter Parker's been born, and Ben's made a comment being like, oh, I'm so excited to be an uncle, and then one of the Spider Girls goes, oh, it's great being an uncle, it's like all the fun but zero the work, and then Madam Web goes, haha, he thinks that, obviously implying what's going to happen. So at the end of the movie is like these girls, she basically has this monologue and like adopts these girls, and is like, you're all going to have great lives, and like you see the future of them being the Spider Girls. Again, all the same shots that were in the trailers, no, like barely any new ones, no swinging shots, no nothing. The hanging one, the one that Sydney Sweeney was talking about of her character always hanging upside down, was in the beginning of the movie, and it was like a massive press point and stuff like that. The other bit that I want to talk about is the villain of the movie. I am 99.9% sure they ADR'd his voiceover.
Oh no!
I'm absolutely certain.
Through the whole film?
Me and my girlfriend were sitting there. So I think the stuff that's set in the past when Madam Web's born with the mom isn't ADR'd, and then everything in the present when he's trying to hunt the girls down is ADR'd, because I was sitting there and I was like, this just isn't right.
Yeah,
like,
you just sort of tell sometimes. Yeah.
I couldn't fully work it out, but when you can just tell, like it's one of those things you can just tell it's been ADR'd, and I'm 99.9% sure it was ADR'd. And if it wasn't, it was weird, I'll say that much. I don't want to slander it too much, because obviously I'm not in a position to talk about anything too much. I'm more of looking at it as a comic book standpoint. I'll
be honest, as a lovely little summary you've just given me, I think it sounds shit.
Honestly, the thing I was most disappointed about was I was really looking forward to seeing the Spider. I'm going to just call them the Spider Girls. I apologize. The Spider Girls.
That's probably accurate.
And it just wasn't a thing. Like, it just barely was a thing. The outfits looked sick as hell.
They use these key moments to promote in the trailer, and then most of the movies just kind of boring.
All of the stuff with the girls. And all like the interviews of like Sydney Sweeney being like, oh yeah, I really want to do the upside down hanging stuff. I was like, this is going to be so cool. Like, like, you know the bit where it's like how her character has like the the Kamehameha, like the energy wave kind of thing in the trailer.
I'll be honest, I have forgotten completely.
Basically, her character in the trailer, her character in the comics has like psionic abilities where she can like almost shoot like beams of like energy,
right?
And it's like it's a cool thing. It's literally nothing else. It's the same. If you've seen the trailers, that's literally it. Like that's the bit that frustrated me the most, is that everything with the Spider Girls was shown in the trailer, and then it was this massive promotional point being like, using this is the way I took it, like new Spider-Man stuff, new Spider Girls, like yeah, we're gonna get new stuff in like first live action, like because they've not been done, like they weren't done in Spider-Verse or anything like that. They're all relatively brand new, like Spider characters.
Yeah, sure.
And so is Madam Web. It's just frustrating because
I can't
like
get behind it.
I like when comic books, like when the MCU've done it, when they do new concepts, like stuff that hasn't been done before or has barely been done before. And Madam Web was one of these concepts, and it was like,
but you need to do it right, though. You need to do it right.
I'm so nervous about Kraven the Hunter. Like, so nervous.
It's going to be bad. I'm telling you now, it's going to be bad.
Kraven the Hunter has the potential. Like, his comic book stories are unbelievable with Spider-Man. They are fantastic.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
They're going to blunder it.
It's not against fucking Spider-Man. They're not doing Spider-Man in the fucking universe because they can't do it. They just keep fucking it up. They keep trying and failing. What they need to do is just fucking bring Andrew Garfield back.
Yeah.
He will probably do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much like, it drives me fucking mad. This is the whole problem with it, right? Is Spider-Man keeps getting named as this like big thing. It's like, right, you've done 4 movies in this little weird Sony universe now. You've got a 5th coming out. That's not going to have Spider-Man either. It's like, stop fucking mentioning Spider-Man. And Morbius was the worst for this. Morbius was absolutely, by far, like categorically the worst for this. Like 100%. Because Morbius tried to gaslight itself, gaslight its audience almost, into believing that it was part of not only the MCU, but also the Andrew Garfield universe. And maybe the Tobey Maguire one. Like, it's so unclear. Like, there's a shot in the trailer, which you probably remember from Morbius. Vulture in it. Don't even get me started on that. That shit is the goofiest shit, man. So, that's the whole thing. You have the whole film. Yeah, they promoted a lot of the promo material around Michael Keaton's Vulture being in it as well, which is cool. You got an MCU character showing up in a Sony film. That's a big deal. There's multiverse stuff going into No Way Home, and this was not either just before or not soon after. Just after. It was a few months after. So you got sort of multiverse stuff, and you're thinking, oh god, how are they doing the Vulture stuff? That's really interesting. And then it comes to the film, and Michael Keaton's Vulture stuff is all post-credit.
Yeah, I remember it being.
All
I seem to remember it being post-credit. Yeah,
and the post-credit scene is him. This is the thing that I just, again,
it's him in jail.
You sort of have to, well, no, not just.
Okay.
There's a great scene. Oh god, I want to get the dialogue up of it. Because it's so terrible that it's brilliant, and it's performed about as well as it could be. No one's actually put it up. Hang on.
This is the thing with like Venom, is that Venom was nice because Venom 1 and 2 like didn't actually mention Spider-Man once.
Well, it was something
before the post-credit scene. So like the actual main story stuff. Whereas now, what the hell's Venom 3 going to be? Because you've now established
he's been to a different universe and then come back.
You've now established that we're probably going to get some sort of Venom in the MCU. Because of No Way Home post-credit
But we
scene.
might not. This is also the whole thing that we'll probably discuss as well. Is that there's not going to be a future for Spider-Man in the MCU as far as I can see. He will be in the MCU. Yeah, he'll be in the MCU, but it's not going to be what we want it to be. It's not going to be anything good because the fact of the matter is Spider-Man's place in the MCU as it stands is like a child of divorcing parents. That they just can't agree what to do with him. Have you heard about the rumours for the 4th Spider-Man film in the MCU? No. That Marvel MCU Kevin Feige wants to do a ground-to-earth story, ground level, street level story, which is Spider-Man on the streets of New York.
Which is what it should be.
Maybe have Daredevil in it. Maybe have Kingpin as the villain or something like that.
Which is what it should be.
Which is what it should be. Mm-hmm. Have you heard about what Sony want to do with it?
Can I guess?
Go for it.
Do they want to do like some other multiversal space story kind of thing?
Not other. They want to do No Way Home again. They want to bring Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back again.
But then isn't Tobey Maguire already? Well, if it goes ahead,
So this is
confirmed
the
to
other
be doing
thing.
Secret Wars.
Oh, okay. I wasn't thinking that.
So Secret Wars being like the
That's
massive...
rumored though, but that's not even been written properly yet. So we just don't know. We can assume, but I don't know.
Rumored to be what, like him and Thingy was supposed to be. What's his
Maybe.
name? Yeah.
But I just don't. This is as far as the MCU Spider-Man's concerned. The thing that I want the most, and we'll get back to Morbius, but the thing that I want the most out of the MCU Spider-Man is to have a consistent Spider-Man story in the MCU that doesn't rely on multiverse stuff. Look, I liked No Way Home when it came out. Have you tried rewatching it?
We've had this conversation many times.
I hate rewatching it.
We have, like, I don't mind it as much, whereas I know it very much.
It just annoys me because it's late. Right. Some people aren't going to like this. Just FYI, this is probably the biggest hot take I've put on this podcast so far. But I want to make this clear because I've done this before. I've put it on social media, and it's just been bombarded with people going like, "Yeah, you don't really get the film."
That was crazy. I remember that on social media.
But all I did was post a video with a completely fair point in it, and you can see it.
Don't get me wrong. I do believe it's a fair point. It's just,
100%.
It doesn't annoy me.
The film is a great film if you just want to see nostalgia and it get waved over you, right? And that's great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love that, and in cinema, it was such a fucking religious experience watching this film.
Really going against the name of the podcast here.
Yeah, but because good nostalgia is good, right? Like, well-earned nostalgia is fine to me. Like, but with this film, I just feel like it's not about that for me. It's not about the fact that they brought... Look, hey, I loved all the Green Goblin stuff, and I love how they incorporated it into the story. It made a really perfect villain for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and yeah, you probably couldn't do another Green Goblin or another Doc Ock because everyone would compare it to the original, and you've got two brilliant actors there.
That's the one thing. I'll let you finish your point first, and then I'll go.
Yeah,
go on.
And I think that all that was great, and I loved seeing Tobey Maguire, I loved seeing Andrew Garfield. They were both dealt really well hands. They weren't just cameos; they were actually continuations of their own stories. Andrew Garfield getting that moment saving Zendaya, perfect, right? My problem is the film is just shoddy, like overall. The special effects leave a lot to be desired, and I'm gonna get to the point that everyone makes, but. I think the special effects look a bit ass. I think the cinematography leaves a hell of a lot to be desired. And I think ultimately the story is a little bit up and down, a little bit messy. And it's not to the fault of the filmmakers. Look, they were doing it in COVID. I completely understand that. It was during COVID that they made this, and there was a lot of different things they had to get done. And yes, it does suffer with a few of those things where you've got actors on a green screen background and you can just tell they're on a green screen background. That entire highway chase segment, you had some stuff that was practical. As soon as you saw Doc Ock, you just saw him he's floating on a green screen 100%. You just know he is. And like back in Spider-Man 2, they were doing it with practical effects, and it looked better. I think if you filmed a new Spider-Man film with the same practical effects they used in the early 2000s, but with modern filmmaking practices, I think it would look better than CGI. The CGI that they used in this film, that being. And the reason I don't have as much lenience towards the COVID argument, because I completely understand, you're making a film in COVID, you have different practices. Okay, I completely understand that. That is an excuse in some extent to the cinematography, to the CGI, to the performances being a bit wag. To the writing, maybe, probably not. However, I could excuse all of that if the Batman wasn't entirely made in COVID as well. And is one of the most beautifully shot films, one of the best like superhero stories in a film, I'd say, in terms of like adapting a Batman story or making it a new Batman story. It's brilliant. The special effects are great, and everyone is there facing off against each other. There's actual cinematography going on. I don't think COVID can be an excuse for somewhat lazy filmmaking practices, especially from a company like Marvel, and by extension Disney. If DC can do it with the Batman in COVID, Marvel absolutely could do it. They try and find the easiest way to do things. That's why most Marvel projects nowadays don't look as good CGI-wise as ones from about 10 years ago. Because there's some stuff that 10 years ago would have had loads of time and attention going into it, whereas nowadays, VFX artists in Marvel Studios are rushed off their feet and underpaid and overworked. And you get poor products because of it. It's no fault of the CGI visual effects department. It's Marvel as a company rushing these things out before they're ready. No Way Home could have done with an extra 6 months in post. Easy. so many green screen segments, and it's so obvious. And if you can tell as a viewer, it's not great. Beyond that, editing in gaps when a character appears for an audience to applaud is fucking insane. Why, when Andrew Garfield, if you watch it at home, when you watch it in the cinema, you can't tell because Andrew Garfield shows up, takes off his mask, and everyone's like, yes, oh my god, I was.
So was I.
But when I'm sat at home months later, and I'm just sat there with a stupid grin on my face, not cheering, because that's a bit strange when I'm sat by myself. I don't look like a mad person. I was just grinning. And I'm thinking, wow, there's a kind of substantial pause between the dialogue here, to a point where it doesn't feel natural. Like, he comes in, takes his mask off, and then it's like...
It's very theatre.
And then it turns to Zendaya and Ned, and they're like... and then it goes... and I'm Spider-Man. It's like, oh my god. Like, how long do you need to pause? Okay, there's a shock factor. Fine. But they've seen a lot weirder than... Some guy in a Spider-Man costume surely shouldn't shock them to the core that much when Ned's just opened a fucking portal. Like, I don't understand the logic behind it. But that's because there is no logic behind it. It's just they're making gaps for audience and they're just trying to rush a film along. I don't think it's a bad film. I just think it's an example of poor filmmaking practices. And it's disappointing because those moments are great. Every time I watch the film, those moments are going to be less great because the film isn't as good. Whereas the Batman, I think, holds up.
Yeah.
That's my
turn?
take. Go for it. Yeah, go on.
Mine is not as deep as that. I quite enjoy the movie. My biggest thing is
me too.
More story sense of it. Doing No Way Home, amazing, great. Bringing back old villains, fantastic. You've kind of shot yourself in the foot though, because you've basically brought back debatably the biggest Spider-Man villains.
Hard agree, actually. Hard agree.
And now you actually just can't do them in the MCU. Bearing in mind you're establishing this story is Peter Parker is on his own going to university. So in theory, for a typical Spider-Man story, this is where you should meet the scientists, the Doc Ocks and the Norman Osborns and like Harry Osborn. Whereas now you just like you can't
get Kurt Connors, you can't get Octavius, you can't get Norman Osborn, you can't get Harry Osborn.
So
and there's no way of making that work.
This isn't, and this is a story sense. This isn't like, oh, you can't bring them back because you can't do 2 movies in a row and you can't replace the actors. No, that's not the sense at all. Can you imagine how bizarre it would be in the next movie? Tom Holland's Peter Parker going to university and be like, oh, meet Dr. Octavius, meet Norman Osborn, meet and Peter Parker's like, oh, I've met you. Like, it just doesn't feel the same. It's like you go to university.
I completely agree. There are ways around it. The Doc Ock will never happen, though.
I love them doing it, and I think it was great to see these characters again. And it was fantastic getting all these little references. But when you pull yourself out of it and you think, okay, they've announced they're doing 3 more Spider-Man movies, and the setting that it's in, bearing in mind that it's like the proper Spider-Man setting of where a lot of the Spider-Man content is, and you can do this dark and dingy, you can't introduce... Like, I understand, and I was saying before, I love when they do stuff that's not been done before in movies. Like, I love when they take other villains, but for Spider-Man's story, it's like he wants to be a physicist, an engineer, a scientist, but you don't have the 3 biggest engineers and scientists and physicists.
I completely agree. In
his story, I see
there's ways around it. There's a way around it for the Green Goblin.
100%.
Admittedly, so with the Green Goblin, you've got because.
Well, are you talking about Hobgoblin?
Because Hobgoblin is just the same fucking thing, but you can do that. I think there's a way of making that work.
So, to quickly run through how I think, I'm not a writer, I'm just a fan, what I would like to see for the next Spider-Man movies. The next movie, do not touch Ned at all.
Yeah.
Possibly have Zendaya a slight little bit at the end. Don't do anything with it. Have him go to university. Have him introduce Gwen Stacy, not as a Spider-Man, as a character. Introduce Gwen Stacy. It'll be nice to have her in the MCU. It'll be nice to see her at university. It'll be nice to be a character that we know. And it makes sense. University, Have street level for next one. Have, like you're saying, a Kingpin, a Daredevil. Maybe not do Daredevil because I'm worried that they're going to overdo Daredevil. And he's just going to be cameo central. She-Hulk, Echo, you show. Anyway.
I haven't seen Echo yet either.
I've not either. I've just seen the Daredevil fight. Yeah. But then, so... At the end of that one, that's when you kind of bring back Zendaya. you could possibly do, do I go MJ, do I go Gwen Stacy? I don't think you should do it. I think you should keep Gwen Stacy as a friend like it is in the comics. Have Gwen Stacy as a... Don't make her a Spider-Man. Do not make her a Spider-Man in the MCU. Do not. I'm not saying do not. I also think... So that's Spider-Man 4. Spider-Man 5, bring it back to Zendaya, get her memories back, and have Miles introduced in Spider-Man 5.
They'll end up doing that 100%, yeah.
Have Miles introduced in Spider-Man 5, and then ideally I'd like it to leave a little bit of time, and then Ned should also get his memories back at the end of Spider-Man 5, and then be like, what the hell? Why didn't you come sooner? Yeah. Why didn't you do all this stuff sooner?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think it should be like Zendaya and him should reunite.
Yes, and then
Ned does.
Have him go essentially rogue, and then have him do the Green Goblin stuff with Hobgoblin. Spider-Man 6, Hobgoblin, so like Ned Hobgoblin, so it's almost like the Harry Osborn kind of stuff.
Yep.
Peter Parker versus Ned with Zendaya. Ned gets like severely injured or possibly killed at the end of it, and that's when Peter Parker goes, like how it is in the new game. Peter Parker goes, "No, I'm done," and then that's when Miles steps up. He's not fully trained at that point, but we basically get what we missed of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, of him growing up and becoming Spider-Man, but have Tom Holland not be the main character, but have him come in a little bit to have, like, not cameo heavy central, but have him be a teacher to Miles just from the sidelines, and have him in the MCU, so you can have him as a character and you can have him for Miles' story. Don't just completely write him off. And let him have the story with Zendaya and with MJ. Well. Like, have him as this character. Like, don't kill him off, but have him go. Like, he's lost May, he's lost this. Have him. I mean, obviously he's lost May now, which kind of changes it a little bit, but have him lose Ned and kind of be like, do you know what? Like, that should be the final straw. Like, I'm with you. Done.
I'm with you. I love it. I think this. Yeah, the thing that I would the key thing I would do is make Ned and MJ still part of this next trilogy, like, to a significant degree.
100%.
But the first film should be more disconnected. MJ and Peter's relationship should flourish in the second of this new trilogy.
I agree.
And then Ned can be like a post-credit scene or whatever. I think Hobgoblin should be introduced before Peter knows.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, I tell you what would be really cool. I tell you what would be really cool is if they do a Norman Osborn in the MCU, and Peter and maybe the audience thinks that the Goblin is Norman Osborn.
But
it's Ned. Because Peter's like, oh, I know who you are, Goblin. I know you're Norman Osborn, so you must be this Norman Osborn. He confronts Norman Osborn and is like, shit, this isn't actually him.
Yeah.
And then actually finds out that it's Ned. Maybe like a Red Hood situation.
You could also have the situation where
that would be cool, actually.
You could also have the situation where Ned doesn't get his memories back, and he begins to work with a Norman Osborn and becomes Hobgoblin, and then gets his memories back.
I think he shouldn't. I think he should get his memories back, and I think that should be it. What
if he gets his memories back though? Like,
no. I agree.
The villain, and then
I get that. I like the idea that actually he. Oh my god! I like the idea that he gets his memory. I'm trying to work it out. I think he should almost be in the gutter by the end of the film. By the end of the second film of the trilogy, where he gets his memories back, and he then goes to see Peter. Let's say he's washed up, right? Like, Ned without Peter Parker doesn't end up doing well. Gets thrown out of college, university, whatever, and ends up on the streets, or ends up, in maybe in a life of crime or something like that. Yeah. And then he gets his memories back. He's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck am I doing? I'll go and see Peter. I'll talk about what happened. Like, how have I forgotten all this?" He goes to find Peter, and he sees him and MJ really happy together. Yeah. And then he's like, you woke her up. Even though that might not be what happens, it's like, you woke up, you snapped her out of it. Yeah. But you didn't come and get me. We were three. The three of us were friends. Like, you didn't come and get me. And that progression of his thoughts, like, if you got me, I wouldn't be in this life that I'm in. I wouldn't be in this situation that I'm in. These things wouldn't have happened. My life would have been different. And then he turns to Hobgoblin with his, just the position he is in life and what have you. I think that could work. Yeah,
you can't do Harry. You can't
do Harry Osborn. You can't do. But I think if you have Norman Osborn there, I think that'd be really cool, because Peter would think it's him.
The only way you could do Harry Osborn is if you did it that Harry replaces Ned. So when he goes to university, Peter meets Harry. When Ned wakes up, instead of him just saying Peter and MJ, he sees Peter, MJ, and then Harry's there as well.
Oh, that's
and
rough.
It's a replacement kind of thing, and that's what pushes it. And so instead of Harry becoming Green Goblin, Ned takes it instead.
Good point. I like that. No, it's definitely something in that. I think there's a lot in there to break down, but I think but the problem at the minute is just what Sony want to do with it, because Sony want to do their own thing with it, and it's not makes it. There was a bit of interesting news I saw earlier today, actually, though, which I'll be interested to see if you've seen this first, and then second of all, what you think about it. Sam Raimi has expressed interest to making Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, my Twitter feed's just being memes of being like, imagine at the end of Into the Spider-Verse 3, it goes Spider-Man 4 will return, and then it's like
Spider-Man 4 will return.
Or Spider-Man 4 is coming, or something like that. Or the end of like the next Sony Spider-Man game is like Spider-Man 4 is coming, or something like that. Like,
it's so silly. But hey, I think it would do really well. I actually think it would be one of the highest grossing Spider-Man films.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, I think it would have the most hype behind it.
Doubt.
And I think now is the time it's going to happen. Do I want it to happen? Do I think it'd be a good idea? I don't know, to be honest.
It depends who is attached to it.
I think Sam Raimi would be good.
Do you reckon?
I don't think they should do. I don't think they should.
15 years later, like
massive, after No Way Home, easy.
Yeah.
After No Way Home, you set it after that.
Is it? It's established that No Way. Yeah,
he's older in No Way Home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because he mentioned Andrew Garfield mentions Rhino as well, doesn't he? Yeah. Doesn't matter. I'd be interested to see what story they like if they did a story, like see what it is. Because what you were saying earlier is they are very much struggling with the Sony Spider-Man movies not having a Spider-Man.
I don't think it should be Tobey Maguire though. I think
it's going to be anyone. It should be Andrew Garfield.
I think you should do a Spider-Man 4 that is actually. I'm not talking about doing like a Logan thing, but I'm talking about making it a lot more of a character piece than a superhero film.
Would you prefer Spider-Man 4 or Amazing Spider-Man 3?
That's a really hard one. I think from
a good question.
It's such a good question.
Such a good question, isn't it?
I think
because we've had talks of both in the last few years.
I think Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be brilliant, and I think if they did something with that, it could be really exciting and new and fresh. Do I think Sony will do it right now? But I think if you bring back Sam Raimi to direct Spider-Man 4, I think that will be. That could be marvelous.
Yeah.
That could be really, really
doing like
good.
An older Spider-Man story as well, like a.
And then there's also the whole thing of Miles Morales.
What, do Miles in Tobey's universe? It would work. Yeah, it would work.
And then you've got a new Spider-Man franchise on your hands.
It would work, but I can't imagine that the MCU do not want their hands on the Miles success.
They'll just open a portal and he'll just jump through.
Don't want that though.
No, nor do I. But the fucking problem is that's what's the world we live in now.
Sony, sell Spider-Man, please, for God's sakes. Sony, please.
They're not gonna. They're never gonna do it. It's their biggest cash cow. They'll never do it.
Mate, can you imagine? Like, it's like Disney don't. It's like the ironic thing is Disney don't have all the Infinity Stones.
No, they don't.
Disney have all the Infinity Stones bar one, and it just happens to be
bargaining chips. Though it's like, look, there's a price. There's always a price, but.
Well,
it's too hard.
Remember when the contract renewal came up and Sony were like went for like way too much money and Disney just went no.
Yeah.
And then I remember the whole internet broke, being like, "What the hell, Sony? Why are you doing this? Like, you need this." Like, it's a shame because Spider-Man is slightly in the mud.
It is
in a live action
messy.
sense.
It's
live
messy
action sense
because there's too much.
Live action sense.
But it's
not
messy.
Even touched Spider-Verse yet.
But it is messy.
Yes, it's very messy.
It's too messy. That's the problem.
Yes.
You've got animated Miles Morales and that whole thing, which is excellent, and you've got live action Sony Spider-Verse, whatever they've called it, Spider-Villain universe. Then you've got Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's, which could potentially get sequels, maybe not. Then you've got. I think, and then you've got the MCU. I think a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4 would be my personal favourite option, but from a business perspective for Sony, Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be better because then you establish a Spider-Man in that universe. But then also, Andrew Garfield's getting on a bit as well. Like, they're not exactly young kids anymore, you know? Like, Andrew Garfield, is older than he looks. He's 40.
I love Andrew Garfield.
I love him as well. Do I think he has... do I think he would want to do a Spider-Man franchise for the next few years of his life? Probably not.
It's a hard one because it's so hard because you want to do I think most.
But you missed. The thing is, you had the chance. You
Spider-Man.
missed the boat. The last Amazing Spider-Man film came out 10 years ago. You've missed the boat. He was 30 then. You could have got away with it. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying he looks old. I'm just thinking he, as part of his career, won't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Tobey Maguire, it's come out the other side. Like, he can do... He's 48, but he'll do it because it's come around the other side.
It's that full... He'd almost be playing like the one from...
But
the
also,
dad version from...
and not to be a dick, but what is Tobey Maguire in these days? Let's be fair to him, other than the Boss Baby. Not even a joke. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So there's also a thing. But given how much time we've got left on this podcast, can we talk about Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
I really want to talk about Spider-Verse. We waffle too much about the negatives. Let's talk about how fucking good the Spider-Verse films are.
I remember when Into the Spider-Verse 1 was coming out, and everyone was like, it's going to be bad, it's not going to be very good. I knew Miles Morales.
I didn't know...
before Into the Spider-Verse.
I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything.
I remember being like, this film is going to be amazing. And everyone was like, all my friends were like, no, it's going to be bad. And we went to see it, and it is still to this day one of my favorite movies ever. The first Into the Spider-Verse movie. It is unbelievable.
I'm now stuck because I can never watch it again.
Why?
Because I've now seen it in the best possible way to watch it, and I can't ever see it again.
Yeah.
I recently got the opportunity to see Spider-Verse in concert, Into the Spider-Verse in concert, and it's just fucking brilliant. Like, there is some... The music... I could gush about Daniel Pemberton for years, right? But the music profile of Spider-Verse, the Spider-Verse films, is so interesting. Not only have you got orchestra, but you've also got, like, a mixing board, like a DJ. You've also got like sound effects and ways of different incorporating things. There is a track in Across the Spider-Verse which incorporates the sound effect of a goose into its track, and it sounds incredible. The Prowler's theme is a slowed down, distorted noise of an elephant, but it sounds incredible because Daniel Pemberton is bloody brilliant. And these things can happen, and these things it's brilliant. And watching that live was just an incredible experience. You've got a full orchestra and a live turntable, and Daniel Pemberton was there and doing sound effects. Bro was whistling live.
It's very cool.
Bro was clicking. He was clicking a pen to the music live in some tracks.
That's very cool.
I
love the like musical soundtrack for it.
The
rap essence of it.
Of Into the Spider-Verse more so than Across the Spider-Verse.
I think we mentioned this a few podcasts ago. I love both.
Yeah.
Just to quickly recap in case you've not seen it. I prefer Into the Spider-Verse mainly because it's more of a complete story. I prefer Miles' suit from the first one. Mm-hmm. I think the soundtrack, i.e. themes and character themes and music, is better in the second one.
Easy, yeah.
But the actual musical soundtrack, I preferred that the first one was more of a variety, whereas Metro Boomin did the whole thing for the second one.
Which I didn't love that, yeah.
The first one was all individual artists. What's Up Danger, the scene for What's Up Danger gives me goosebumps every time without fail. One thing I love about the first one is Miles' suit, the spray-painted suit.
Yeah. Everything about that first one is incredible. Like, Into the Spider-Verse is a genuinely brilliant superhero film. Completely of its time. And it's changed, I think, it's permanently changed the superhero film industry. No, sorry. That's bollocks. That's not what I meant to say. That you can tell my brain's sort of racking. For context, we're doing the Oscars live stream tonight. After this recording, so my brain is scrambled. What I meant to say was it's changed the animation industry.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Well, yeah.
Have you noticed that after Spider-Verse has come out and been successful and won an Oscar and beating out Pixar, which not many animated films can do, have you noticed that films
won an Oscar?
It did. Into the Spider-Verse won Best Animated.
Oh, sorry, the first one. I think the second one. I was
Wait. First one.
Sorry. Yeah.
since that won an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, beating out Pixar, which not many animated films can do, there's been an influx of new films in existing franchises or new films altogether that emulate the style of Spider-Verse. It's not a bad thing. It's actually brilliant because it means that we're getting new and interesting ways of seeing animation in the big picture. It gives more freedom. I've seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, which is very Spider-Verse coded, and believe it or not, also the Puss in Boots film as well, which was also very.
There's a Disney one as well that's been done recently where it's similar. It's more of like the older style, but it looks slightly like it's more of like I don't know how like papery movement, like 2D movement style.
I don't know, but it's
what it's called.
It's a gorgeous film, and I think Across the Spider-Verse is great as well. I know you're more as sort of, we've talked about this before, so let's not like retread over previous ground. But I think that I'm super excited for. This is Beyond the Spider-Verse, and I think as a trilogy it'll be brilliant.
Yeah.
If they land the last part, which I'm sure they will. It's going to be an almost perfect superhero trilogy. I think probably the best Spider-Man trilogy as well, to be honest with you. I think it will absolutely stand on its own 2 feet. I think I've seen Into the Spider-Verse so many times now. I'm sort of ready to not...
I've seen it.
I've seen Across once. I need to watch Across again.
I've seen Across once as well. But in the Spider-Verse, I must have seen 7 times maybe. More, possibly.
Yeah, probably more for me, to be honest. I've seen it quite a lot.
I enjoy it every time, though.
And seeing it with a live orchestra is, if you get a chance to do it, Cooper, do it. They're doing Across the Spider-Verse at the end of this year.
Unreal.
I'm definitely considering that. But it's just a great experience. Like, just seeing everything live, you feel that orchestra in the room with you, and you see scenes like What's Up Danger, where they play the song as part of the film, but the orchestra kicks in, and it's, my God, it's electric. It's so beautiful. The way they combine... and again, I'm talking about a great YouTuber to check out if you haven't already, and I will waffle about this guy in other podcasts as well because he's great. It's all about musical theory. As Sideways doesn't upload very much anymore, but he did a great video about Spider-Verse where he talks about these themes. He talks about specifically with What's Up Danger Scene. The reason that works so well is not just the fact that they play that song. If you listen to that song on the soundtrack, it's not the same. If you listen to that song on Spotify, it's not the same. Because what they do is they take the track and they play it and then incorporate a score with it.
Yeah.
They build up the score into your key moments with your key motifs for Miles' theme, for the Spider-Man theme as well. This heroic fanfare coming to its absolute climax with Miles. Throughout the whole film is kind of on and off because he's sort of on that hero's journey. He's discovering himself. He's discovering what it means to be Spider-Man. He's discovering what it means to be Miles Morales. And in that scene, it's a musical combination of and a culmination as well of those motifs and those themes, but also that phenomenal bit of music as well, tying it all together beautifully. That's why that scene hits so fucking hard. It's incredible.
It's one of the greatest. Like that scene alone, when he learns to swing and gets the suit and stuff and sprays the suit, it's fantastic. It's just beautiful. It's so just well animated. Like you're saying, the orchestra, the music. It's stunning, unbelievable. We've not even touched the Spider-Man games either.
No, and we'll definitely do that at some point. I think
TLDR. Well, I've only played the first one.
I've played the first one twice to completion.
Fantastic.
Excellent game.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's so good. It's so good. And I really want to play the second one, but
Miles I have to play, which I've not got around to doing yet. And
I've played Miles. It's great.
I was so gutted that they didn't... obviously they only released them on PlayStation. And I don't own play. I'm a PC person, so I have to play them all late. The first one is absolutely unbelievable.
It's great.
The whole story and everything.
It's really great.
I've watched through the whole of the new one. The story's, again, incredible. How they managed to do a Venom and Craven story simultaneously.
Yeah. I'm excited to play it eventually, because I've sort of forgotten, I've like washed it out of my brain, so when I get round to playing it, I'll not really know what's happening.
It's how they've done Venom and Craven, two villains who are completely disconnecting the comics. Like, that needs to be studied. Like, in tandem, it's so well done. But yeah.
I'm excited to play it. I feel like we could waffle on about Spider-Man for so long. And we'll definitely revisit this as well.
And they also teased another Spider-Girl in the post-credits for it. So, there you go.
Really? I didn't even know that.
I can't remember her name. No, it's Silk. It's Silk. They teased Silk in the post-credit for it, which is amazing. So,
very exciting.
Yes. There we go.
But you're any more gushes about the Spider-Man games?
No, it's just like I said, I've said it a million times on this podcast already. It's when they do new stuff. Like Silk hasn't been done. It's
The Spider-Man games, the reason they work so well is because the stories are new and haven't been done before. And
I hope to God they tone Silk down from the comics, because it is bad in the comics.
What do you mean?
Silk. So, in the comics, TLDR, Silk is bitten by the same radioactive spider as Peter Parker. And the logic is they then have like pheromones that interweave basically. So they basically are always attracted to each other. So you can imagine where that goes. And MJ isn't in the picture, and she's older she's around the same age as Peter Parker in the comics. So you can imagine how it goes, and that's the logic. But I don't think they'll do that for the games. They definitely can't, because she's Miles' age. Yeah.
But maybe with Miles.
Yeah, so basically Miles' mom.
Miles then.
Yeah, Miles' mom meets this person in the whole game. She's like, Miles, I really want you to meet you like this person. And then the post-credit scene is they meet. The guy comes in and goes, and the mom goes, "Oh, this is says his surname," and then everyone's like, "Wait, surname?" And then his daughter walks in and goes, "Oh, this is my daughter," and then says her first name, and then two and two together, it's the same character as Silk. They're going to completely change it, because the people who wrote the comics for the Silk stuff have even said, we regret doing that. It is bad. But yeah, it's very cool. So that's me done with the Spider-Man games and done with new comic book stuff. So
you got all that out very quickly. I respect that. That's, I think, all we're going to say about Spider-Man today. We are kind of running a little bit over time, so we're going to run over to just news, but we'll definitely talk about Spider-Man again in the future. There's so much to talk about, and I'm sure there'll be news that'll come out at some point whenever there's a new film or information. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, you're a big Spider-man fan, so it'll definitely get talked about in the same wave of anything like Star Wars or Doctor Who or well, not so much Westworld, but but it is time for just news, Cooper. Yeah. And today it's my turn to give you a news story. It is your turn
today.
This one's an interesting one. God. You might not have heard of this story, because it definitely hasn't been everywhere recently.
Is it what
I saved this. I saved this story early, and this podcast episode isn't coming out for like another few weeks as well, which is even better, because it's just going to be completely dead of a meme by then. But I thought
I also almost picked this news story.
Yeah, I picked this out. I put it in the fucking document to record, and then it blew up on the internet. So anyway, let's carry on with police call to Willy Wonka inspired experience in Glasgow as families demand refunds.
Before you carry on, I was obsessed. Like,
I love it.
Still am. We're kind of in the back end of it now.
We are, honestly, a little bit. And by the time this comes out, no one will know what we're talking about anymore.
When this was in the news, honestly, Twitter, every the tags and stuff to try and find all the photos. Honestly, this had me. I was genuinely hooked, line and sinker with it. Like, I was so obsessed to see the photos and stuff. It's so good.
It's incredible. So it's a Willy Wonka inspired experience has brought to a halt following complaints it was an absolute shambles of an event and left children in tears. Parents criticised for a £35 a ticket event at a box pub in Glasgow after being promised a chocolate fantasy like never before, where dreams become reality. Despite advertisements pledging a journey filled with wondrous creations and enchanting surprises, families instead described the experience as absolutely appalling and a waste of money on social media. Why do you think that would be? Organiser, House of Illuminati, was forced to cancel the weekend event midway through its first day on Saturday and has promised full refunds. It was only a weekend event. I feel like I've seen so much footage of this.
Oh, it's the best thing ever. Honestly, it's so good.
A Police Scotland spokesperson said officers were called to the cancel and advice was given. Student Sinclair, 29, travelled 2 hours from Dundee with 2 sons and 4-year-old daughter to the event. Why? Why would you trust that? There were one of hundreds of families that had purchased tickets, with many later demanding a refund. Mrs. Sinclair told Sky News other news platforms are available. This is just the one we're stealing today. The promo descriptions all sounded fantastic. It was far from that. On arrival, the family were met with the near-empty venue decorated with a handful of Wonka-themed props and a small bouncy castle. Now, if you've opened the article, Cooper, you can see this.
I've got it open.
If you're listening on Spotify, you can actually see this article that we've used as well. Incredible. It's just like a sort of hall with some shite in it, basically.
Just Google Willy Wonka experience and hit photos, and you'll see the car crash.
What is that? It's the unknown.
It's the unknown.
Mr. Sinclair said his children only received a couple of jelly babies and a quarter of a can of limeade. I've seen this as well. Yeah. So the kids they pay a £35 ticket, and the kids get on arrival. They get a jelly bean, a singular jelly bean, and they get like a plastic cup which has only got like a shot of lemonade in it. You alright, mate?
Oh my god, oh my god.
There are hundreds of videos online, and I'm sure if you
honestly,
look into it, you'll find it. But there is one I've definitely seen with one of the girls dressed as an Oompa Loompa giving a child a jelly bean. And then the table with the limeade.
It's the fourth. It's like Lidl's own brand lemonade or something, and it's literally like...
They couldn't even give them a cup each.
Yeah, the cup is literally like the bottom of the cup. Like it must be like a quarter to an eighth of it. It's awful.
My little girl was a bit disappointed because she was looking forward to it as she's only 4. The boys just laughed it off because of how bad it was. Mr. Sinclair described it as an absolute shambles of an event. I've never seen anything like it. It was definitely an experience. Yeah. And you know, the thing is, I would actually pay now to go to this experience. That's the worst thing, you know. Like that's
no.
According to the events website, Willie's Chocolate Experience promised an enchanted garden with giant sweets, vibrant blooms, and mysterious-looking sculptures and magical surprises. The magical surprise in this case being a singular jelly bean. As well as live performances, oh my god, with charming characters singing original catchy tunes and exhilarating and immersive adventure. Should have also featured a twilight tunnel and an imagination lab where the boundaries between reality and fantasy harmoniously merge. One woman wrote on Facebook she laughed so much the whole way around, while another said she laughed at how bad it was. It's giving people joy, I suppose, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Another
person posted, it was a very simple setup with cheap backdrops around it. She added, it was definitely worth doing your homework before buying into events. Definitely our bands just embraced the whole thing and weren't too disappointed. Oh, and the great idea to have a person dressed up in a terrifying outfit to come out and scare the kids. They were all crying. It was terrible, shocking and embarrassing, to be honest. Wrote one parent. That's the unknown for you. So they invented characters. I saw someone post this where they were like, we've had a brand new Willy Wonka film which cost $300 million to make, and yet this shit Glasgow experience has come up with more original and interesting characters. And that's quite funny. It's true.
It's the video of the unknown when it comes around the wardrobe and you hear all the kids go,
the unknown.
Yeah.
Sold a dream and delivered a nightmare. On a Facebook post on Saturday night, House of Illuminati said, today has been a very stressful and frustrating day for many, and for that we are truly sorry. Unfortunately, last minute we were let down in many areas of our event and tried our best to continue on and push through. And now we realise we probably should have cancelled first thing this morning instead. Yeah. We fully apologise for what has happened and we'll be giving full refunds to each and every person that purchased tickets. I think that's good.
Yeah, it's
because at the very least, right, you've got a completely free event there where you got a whole jelly bean and a shot of limeade. So I think you should be pretty fucking happy about that. I can't lie.
I find it ironic that it's Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and there was zero chocolate.
I'm sorry. Willy's Chocolate Adventure, isn't it? Not Willy Wonka. Don't say that.
Sorry.
It's not. Well, that's a different. Don't associate it because they could get copyrighted.
It could have
for that.
been no. It
could be put into court for that.
It was. I'm surprised they haven't already. To be honest, it was Willy's Chocolate Experience.
Willy's Chocolate Experience.
Why didn't it just be Willy's Sweet Experience or something like that?
Willy's Chocolate Experience sounds like some sort of dirty protest.
Oh.
All of the Just News segments just turn into shit.
Yeah.
Shit and farts and erections. That's all we talk about. And round moat. And on that note, thank you very much.
Just Google Willy Wonka Experience and look. The best photos are like the one with the girl who plays the Oompa Loompa. That photo that's been everywhere is fantastic. How I haven't seen any interviews with her yet is unbelievable. But the whole thing's fantastic. It's so funny. The whole thing. But anyway, take it away.
Thank you so much for listening. If you have any more requests or anything like that in terms of things to talk about, we've got a little form you can fill out. In the meantime, drop us a follow here on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify. If you're not, go to Spotify and follow us anyway. And, of course, a little 5-star review as well would be lovely. But obviously, you know, you're your own person. I'm not your dad. But if I was, I'd tell you to give a 5-star review. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.